Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Steel and Velvet podcast. My name is Nash, and it's actually just me today. Macey had her episode last week, or it was just her talking, and so this week I figured I'd kind of take over a little bit and just kind of hang out and talk with you guys about something that I've been learning really just in the past couple of weeks in some areas that I needed it. And what we're going to be talking about today is pausing, taking time in our day to pause, to feel God. I mean, how often do we take time to really settle into His presence? I think it's something that we all want, something that we all maybe even say that we do. I know I was one of those, and because I did, but probably not as much as I gave off. And up until the past couple of weeks, have I really got serious about this pausing with God and what it does to your day. Now that we're up here, we're in Charleston, being in ministry now full time, it can be a lot. It can be stressful, specifically in student ministry. Anybody who's in that kind of knows what I'm talking about. Hours aren't always normal. They're not always 9 to 5. And I love it. And that's what you sign up for, right? But it brings stress sometimes, and it brings, late night thoughts when you're laying in bed and you can't go to sleep. And I was just noticing that my brain was not stopping. It wasn't shutting off. And there was just no real disconnect from work and then carrying that into the house. And, I don't want to do that to Macey. I want to be able to love her well, and, the best that I can. And for me, what I've found is taking this time to pause has helped me in so many different ways. And we'll talk about that just in a couple minutes here. But there's actually an app is what I found. I think it's just called Pause, or 1 minute pause, something like that. On the App Store, you can go and find it. It's just, it looks like a pause button, it's just like a white background. It's got a little pause like that, whatever. I don't know if that was a pause or not. That was kind of a failed attempt. But it relieves so much stress. Any kind of anxieties that you're feeling towards the day, or certain situations that you have to go and assess, or that you need to put a lot of energy into. It just takes so much off your shoulders when you take that time to bring those things to God. Specifically for me, how I was doing it, and how I'm still doing it, I don't know why I said was, how I'm still doing it is to do it outside as much as I can. So I do it in the morning. I have a timer set around 7:15 because I know I'll be up. At that point I'll be pretty much ready for work. So I'll be able to, be changing everything, and I'll go outside in the morning. We have a great little apartment complex around here to where we have trees, and, if the wind's blowing and you hear the birds chirping, this app kind of guides you through scripture, through prayers. And then there's a guy who just gives kind of general thoughts, about it all. And for me, I find it so helpful to be out in nature. Number one, I just like being outside. I just enjoy that. To feel the sun on my skin, see, the wind blowing through the trees. It just reminds you of the beauty of God's creation, and how He makes everything beautiful. And it kind of, you almost have to be still in those moments, to fully understand what God's trying to do through you in those moments, is what I've found. And it just puts a smile on your face when you're out there like that and you hear the birds chirping. I don't know. And so for me, that's what I found beneficial in the morning. And at night, I've done it, but not as often, because it's at night. You're not seeing quite as much. But what I'll do is it's the last thing that I do before I go to bed at night, is I'll sit and, it might be 10 minutes that I'm listening to this pause for the evening. And it just calms me. It stops those thoughts that I was having before, that just keep going and going and going. and I find myself just stopping. And I'm just ready to go to bed. I can be fully there for Macey. And a lot of times it carries over into the morning. You just feel more at peace. And like 100% honest here, I've gotten so much better sleep. So if you're just like struggling to get sleep, maybe that's your main motivation for this, is just because you want some sleep. I've gotten such good sleep through it. It really has helped me so much in that area. And what I want to do now is go into 3 ways having more time to pause in your life is going to benefit you. And I don't know, Macy will probably title this one, but I don't know if that's what she's going to title it. Or maybe she'll figure out a different title. I don't know. She's the genius. She's the genius of this. She's the creative mind. And so 3 ways that pausing in your day will benefit you. Number 1, and it's probably a little more obvious, is in your spiritual walk, or in your spiritual life with Jesus. A day that starts with admiring your Creator is a day that has already been equipped with kind of like an armor around it, and a day that's going to carry you through whatever it has, whatever you're going to face that day. Kind of like what I was talking about. I knew the conversations I was going to have. I knew the calls I was getting on. I knew what I had to get set up. I knew the difficult things that were happening, in life, in ministry, whatever it was, busy week, whatever it is. Starting your day with that gives you kind of this armor for your day, like I was talking about, and you just feel built up through whatever you have because your day is built specifically on that foundation, right? And it's a foundation of peace. It's a foundation of just being more aware. Number 1, I would say aware of God's goodness, and just like His beauty for creation and His love for you, and His voice. But it also brings a little more self-awareness, because you get to kind of assess yourself, what you're feeling for the day, what you need to probably work on if you're feeling stressed out or you're easily frustrated, whatever it is. It brings that level of awareness in both of those areas. So that was number 1. Now we're going to go to number 2, which is in your relationships. Pausing in your day helps you in your relationships, helps you with your conversations, how you approach individual people, whether that's at work, family, wherever it is. Again, like we were talking before, it brings an awareness for your whole day. Maybe those people who we know it's difficult for us to have a conversation with them, or it's difficult for us to, on a bad day, just kind of be around them. It brings a kindness to your heart. It brings a peace to your heart, is what I've found, because you took that time to assess first where you were in your relationship with Jesus. In your conversations with those people, with individual, and how you approach each individual. The reason why this helps is because we have to assess first where we're at in our relationship with Jesus, ultimately, and where we're at with Him. He could have, left us at certain times, right? Because we just can be disobedient, and we probably aren't always easy to love, right? And so when you kind of bring that awareness to yourself and how Jesus has loved you so well, it brings a lot more understanding and peace for maybe those people who can be a little bit frustrating at times for us. And so in relationships, it helps greatly. I know there is now an understanding with Macey and I where she knows when I'm going to go and do this and take my pause, it's not something selfishly for me. It's for our relationship, and it's for my relationship with Jesus. And although sometimes it feels selfish, when she's laying in bed and I just kind of got my AirPods in and I'm listening to my thing, but I know it's going to benefit greatly, and it really does. And so taking that time to pause helps your relationships. And the third and final one that I got here is in your leadership. And you might be thinking like, well, I'm not necessarily a leader. I'm not in leadership anywhere, but you are. Ultimately, you are. You have influence. It just depends on how you're doing. You have leadership. It just depends on how you're leading. So similar to relationships is leadership, I would say. They kind of go hand in hand here, but I wanted them to have different points. God has put you in charge to lead. Starting your day with God, what do you want me to do? God, what do you want me to do? Not God, can you help me with this? But God, what do you want me to do? It's going to take any idea that we think is best. And once we go to God, he's going to give us what he knows is best, right? And he's going to give us an understanding of what he knows is best. So we do it because we don't want this thing that we think is best. We do it because we want what God knows is best. And it starts with taking time with him and taking time to pause with him, taking time to understand his love for us and how we can pour that out for other people and how we can lead in love, actually, the way that he did. Jesus led in love. He led in truth as well, but that truth was wrapped up in love, and Jesus led in love. So how can we do that? A good leader starts his or her day with a question. That question, for any disciple that claims to follow Jesus, it should be something like this. That question is, what will you have for me today, Lord? When you start your day or end your day, prepping for, if you're ending your day and you're prepping for the next day, but if you start your day, ultimately, if you start your day with taking time to settle in and take sacrificial time with Jesus and ask him with open hands, Lord, what do you have for me today? What can I do for you today? Not, this meeting and that, I got to hop on that call and those overlaps, so I can't do it. And that I got to talk to that person about this opportunity, whatever it is. And that's going to cost too much, so we can't do that. You have all these thoughts going through your head and you're stressed out because we didn't take 10 minutes in the morning to ask, Lord, what would you have me do? Because we didn't take 10 minutes to ask God, how can I love that person well? God, how can I be Jesus to somebody today? How can I spread your love for somebody today? And we need that pause. We need that pause to kind of settle into our leadership roles. Again, you are a leader, whether you know it or not. You're leading in some capacity, whether that's good or bad. And so why not make it good, right? And how does that start? It starts with taking that time with Jesus, ending your day with that time with Jesus. I appreciate you guys listening to this. This has been something that has been on my heart. It's been something that I've thoroughly enjoyed and has just changed my mindset on how I approach my days, changed my heart, changed my spirit, how I am able to notice God in the littler things now. And I would feel guilty had I not shared what I'm learning, because we all go through stress. And I think this pause app, again, look it up in the App Store. It's just like a white background with like a pause button is what it looks like. Look it up, start it. I think there's one called 30 Days to Resiliency or 30 Days to Be Resilient, something like that. Just try it. Just try it and see how much it changes your day. But I am just so grateful that I was able to have this time. I'm sure Mason and I will be back on one next week together. But yeah, have an awesome day, an awesome Wednesday. Hopefully this is coming out on Wednesday. And we'll see you next week.